Hello. This is day 30 of the Average Joe podcast, making 30 podcasts in 30 days. The final day, this this podcast, this episode, this recording means that I have officially completed this challenge, which I am very happy about. I've enjoyed a lot of the conversations and pushing myself to do this challenge, but to be completely honest, it was rather ambitious and probably a bit too much to try to do 30 podcasts in 30 days. And I say try, but I still did it. I started pre-recording some in November because I knew I'd have some busy days in December, towards the later half of November. But I got a little behind. I feel like some of the videos I put out were maybe a little more boring or uninteresting, but for the vast majority of episodes in this series, I think there was some really good conversation, some useful, some more entertaining, some kind of messy or all over the place. But yeah, starting with the first episode where I just outlined the rules of this challenge, the rules being that it had to be original content, it had to be over 10 minutes, I had to be in every episode, and that there must be one episode published every single calendar day. I think another rule I had was that I could vary the format. So I did do some different formats. I did some stuff on the DJ board. I talked in a sauna. I did my thoughts at sunset with a different background. I did a conversation with Brock pre and post run just in his family home kitchen. So I did some different things, but the majority of them were shot here in this setting, in this room with guests, which is my favorite part, is talking to people and getting to hear new perspectives and listen to people's stories. And interestingly enough, I feel like there was actually lots of good questions asked to myself and some things that I've reflected on. People ask me why I'm doing this challenge, what I think about this podcast, what I think about the direction it's gone. But I just want to say a massive, huge thank you to anybody who came on during this 30-day series. You guys made this possible. You made it happen. You made it interesting. I kept the ability for me to do this relatively easy. You know, there's been minimal editing, still just doing 180p instead of 4K video. And my goal was just to make sure I do this challenge. I do 30 episodes in 30 days, but it would not have been possible. I mean, I guess it hypothetically could have been possible, but would have been quite boring if it was just me every time talking in a microphone, just giving my own thoughts. So thank you so much to everybody who came on, who said yes. Even some people like Maverick who reached out to me, James, who has reached out before, and he connected me with Jordan Grubbs, who I spoke with. So thank you guys so much. I think I had some really interesting conversations. I loved getting to reconnect with some friends or people in my life, and then also talk to people who were new or who I haven't talked to a ton, and just to be able to sit down and talk for an hour, close to 2 hours, in Austin's case, over 2 hours. It was really fun. So I really enjoyed all these conversations. I am excited to be done with this challenge, to not have to upload every single day, because while I can schedule on YouTube, on Spotify, I've had to wake up and then manually put that into Spotify every single day. Not to mention, trying to keep up with clips and other stuff I'm doing. Although I have since stopped doing Instagram and TikTok, just going to focus on YouTube, and then, of course, upload the podcast on Spotify and stuff like that. And I've talked about this, but I'm also going to rebrand the channel a bit. I want it to be inclusive of other types of videos. Maybe I want to try out some new styles or challenges or just different stuff that's more edited, more typical YouTube than just a podcast. I want to keep doing the podcast on this channel, but have it be a feature more so than the only part of this entire channel. Although, of course, the first 60 plus episodes of this channel will be the podcast. I want to start to mix in some other stuff. I want to get better at using this camera, maybe shoot some higher quality videos, cinematic videos, just mix it up a bit, do some different things. I have ideas in my head, and I think it'll be fun to explore creatively and get used to this. I also got the new phone, the iPhone 17 Pro in orange, bold choice. I thought it'd be, I don't know, honestly, just a fun color. I know they've never made one in orange, and I do love this case I got with it too. But the camera on this thing is supposed to be absolutely incredible as well. I just got this phone this week, so I haven't done a ton of exploring yet, but I am very excited to get to check out this camera. See, so maybe I can also take some videos, use this as well. I know it shoots pretty good. Oh wait, that's a front facing camera. That's not even the good part. Hold on. So this side, I well, it's hard to tell in the camera, but I know it does 4K. It's got HD. It's just a very, very high quality three cameras they got going on here. So I think I can mix some stuff with there and my Osmo 3, which I did a whole unboxing on and just called it a podcast. But I'm excited. I'm excited to do some new videos to try to get a little more creative, try to actually become skillful at making videos. I think I've really enjoyed what I'm doing here and talking to people. And then I also think in 2026, I want to slow down the podcast a little bit. I don't want to just put out content just to put out content, which, when you're doing 30 podcasts in 30 days, you kind of have to. Like some of the stuff I probably wouldn't have put out, not the guest conversations, but more so just the stuff with me or even some of the shorter ones I did, just feeling like I had to get something out. So I think I want to be a bit more intentional and specific about who I have on and maybe a little more craft about what I'll talk about. I still want to keep it open. I still don't want to edit and keep the conversations open. I just think I want to be a little more intentional about the podcast and not just trying to crank out episodes just for the sake of cranking out episodes, if that makes sense. And there's already some really interesting guests that have said they're interested that I want to do episodes with in 2026. I have this one guy who's a former New York City law enforcement officer. He has some really fascinating thoughts just on systems in general and social services, law enforcement, just systems that deal with people, and just the way he thinks about things and his perspective is fascinating. So I'm hoping to bring him on. This girl I know from California, she's been doing music and I really want to get her on the podcast. I didn't even know she moved to Nashville until I reached out to her. So I think that'd be fun to get her on. And yeah, there's tons of other people who have some really interesting stories. And maybe I'll, even could edit sometimes when I do the long form podcast. I can still do that, but then also take clips and maybe put together a story. I got a lot of ideas floating in my head, but at the same time, I want to slow down a little bit. I want this channel to support my values and my goals and what I'm doing. And I don't want it to be draining or take away time and energy and attention from things I want to do. And I do want to do this and I do want to be creative and I do want to push myself and make time to talk to people. But I also need to make sure that I'm not always doing something like 30 podcasts in 30 days, which just feels like a sprint and definitely scatters me a bit then. So I need to focus still on my work, on my school, on my health, on my relationships. And then this, when I have time, when I have energy, when I feel inspired, when I feel creative, when I want to do it. So more so as a tool, I want it to benefit my life, of course. And I think the content will be better that way when I'm making stuff that I really do want to make, that I put more effort into and that I make when I want to make, not just that I feel like I have to put something out or I have to tell a story. And I know it won't be easy, but I do need to get better at just being very focused and intentional at improving my skills and improving this podcast. And I mean, even simple stuff. I know I haven't always been the best at like lighting or the setting, but it's worked and it's played to the average Joe idea of just anyone can do this. Anyone can sit and have these conversations and have these moments. But I do want to keep getting better at my skills because I mean, what's the point of doing this if I'm just going to stay in the same place? And doing 30 podcasts in 30 days has perhaps helped my ability maybe to ask questions, talk on the microphone, do some things. I got a light, I've upgraded a little bit, but didn't leave a lot of time for significant, deep thoughts about how I can really improve the quality videos, stuff like that. So it's been a lot of repetitions. I mean, 30 podcasts in 30 days, it's a good amount. But I do want to get better about the quality, not just the quantity, and slow down the channel a little bit and just put out content that I'm proud of, that I want people to see, which I am for the other stuff too. But I think I have an immense amount of room to grow and get better. And the thought of that excites me. And I want it to be conducive to the other stuff I'm doing. So I'll figure out how to make that work and just keep thinking about it. But like I said, thank you to everybody who's been on this. Thank you to everybody who has been a part of this in any way. If you've watched, if you've talked to me in person, if you've sent me a text, if you've checked out the Instagram or even just browsed the YouTube or just had any thoughts about this at all, thank you so much. I, I mean, our time, energy, attention is the most valuable things we have, and to give any of that to me just talking, to me doing random things like 30 podcasts in 30 days, and to you listening to any of it is really amazing and really special. So thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to see where this channel goes, what happens in the future. I have lots of exciting things in 2026 that I am very, very excited for. I do feel a little bit drained and overwhelmed with life right now, but that's okay. I think I'm in a good place to think about some things, to slow down a little bit, just to get back on focusing on what I really feel I need to focus on, and then have this as a fun side creative project to do what I want to do. I mean, it's scary just putting yourself out there and saying things and putting them on the internet, and anyone can see it hypothetically. And, they say when something's on the internet, it's there forever. So it's been an experience. I think it's definitely my confidence in doing this has been boosted just by purely repetition. I mean, I've done over 60 podcasts now, which is absolutely wild for just some 24-year-old kid who had his dad's microphone and a Mac to start. And I've made some pretty significant upgrades since, but like I said, still lots and lots of room to grow. But 60 plus episodes is crazy now that I'm really thinking about it. And I've had some awesome conversations. I've reconnected with people or talked to some new people and just had conversations that I otherwise wouldn't have had. I think selfishly, part of the podcast that's really nice to me is, I mean, it's very rare that we just have our phones put away, that you sit down, look someone in the eye, and just talk to them for an hour, for 2 hours. And it's a pretty awesome feeling when it's a good conversation and things are flowing and you have a microphone in front of you. So it's almost a slightly different feeling than it would be normally. And you're very intentional to not be distracted. But it's just a cool state to be in, to talk, to have conversations, to bounce thoughts, to think about things, to think through things, just to talk about maybe bigger questions or anything like that. But I think people are so interesting. There's so many interesting perspectives out there. I mean, there really is something for everybody. And maybe this podcast isn't your thing, but if it is, welcome. I would love to hear any feedback at all. Anybody you would like to have on the podcast. If you'd like to be on the podcast, please reach out. If you think you have a cool video idea or you want to be a part of any videos or just have any ideas at all for this channel or for anything, I would love to hear from you guys. So I'm going to keep this one relatively short since there is a ton of content I have put out in these past 30 days. But again, thank you so much for watching, for listening, for being a part of this in absolutely any way. I hope you guys had a fantastic Christmas. I hope you have a fantastic New Year's, and I hope you guys all have the most amazing 2026. I hope it's the best year so far. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm glad to be done with this challenge. So I'm going to end it just with a short video. Keep it simple. Thank you guys so much for everything. As I was saying, y'all have a blessed 2026, and I'm excited to put out some new stuff and try some new things and hopefully also have a good year. So thank you guys.